Okay. So, could you please give us your name, your profession, and your country of origin?
So, my name is Umar Sar. I am the French teacher at Osning High School, and I am originally from Senegal in West Africa.
Oh, nice. I love Senegal.
Okay. Are you married? And if so or not, do you have any children?
I am married, and I have two boys.
Really?
Nice. How old?
So one is, I have to make sure I get this right. One is 17.
Wow. So they're like high school. They're like our age.
He's a senior in high school,
Wow.
and the other one is 11.
Okay.
Wow.
So, in terms of like raising your child, I know like as a teacher, you get more of a perspective on how you do want to raise a child. So, how do you go about raising both your sons?
Um, so it's a very complex question because it's not just raising a child. It's also raising children from a biracial union. So my wife is a white, and my kids are they identify as black, very light skinned kids, but it's different. If there's a formula for raising a child, that formula doesn't apply for me
Right.
because there
Yeah.
are so many other factors that
Yeah.
are in play. Yeah. So I don't have an outline. I have to improvise a lot of the time. I have to, pause and think,
Yeah.
depending on the situation, what to do that is best for them.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. Um, so can you give us a little kind of an overview about how growing up outside of the States was and how it is that you ended up here?
So, growing up in a place like Senegal is it's fantastic. It's a place. It's a small country where you learn about everything. So as a student in elementary school, I learned about the United States. I learned about France. I learned about Denmark. Things that you never need in your life until you travel,
Yeah.
but you learned about it because you are a small country and you look up to all these big countries. Growing up, you live in an environment where it is more of a community, so everybody was watching you. So it was, the true sense of the village,
Yeah.
so I never felt alone. I never felt any form of stress because in the community you always talk about everything. So if I have something that bothered me, I had 10 other friends and family members and extended family that I could talk to about it, and someone will have a solution for me. So I learned about stress when I when I came to the States, when I came to America. So yeah, growing up in Senegal was just it's I think about it as the kingdom of childhood, of my childhood, because it's where when you get overwhelmed, you close your eyes and you think about this kingdom where
Yeah.
everything was just great.
Yeah. What was your like perception of the United States like when you were in Senegal? Like how do people see it, the United States over there? Because like me and Nicole both have family from like other countries, and I kind of, their perception of the United States is like this like gold mine of job and opportunity. So how did you see it being from Senegal from a an outsider point of view?
So I didn't know much about the U.S. Senegal is a country that was colonized by France, so and it's closer to France. So our growing up, our um, um, mirage, I would say, would be more like France. You know,
Yeah.
people would go to France. Yeah, I had family members who lived in France. You know, for the longest time. So you know, thinking about the West, it was never this, you know, place where you pick up money or money grows from the trees. Um, but it was something that, to me, would um, represent the perception I had of an adventure, you know,
Yeah.
going to a place where, you know, nothing is a certainty. You know, you had to make things. You know, I liked, you know, when I went to school, and people talked about the American dream. You know, I like to think about it as, you know, this is just a land where, you know, people would come and just, you know, make a place for themselves, you know,
Yeah.
make a living for themselves, and 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 struggle, goes through, you know, the struggles and stuff. But at the end of the day, you know, everyone
Struggles.
yeah, has struggles and possibilities and opportunities were there to grab.
Yeah. How did you see France?
Yeah, my perception of France was, you know, like when I was little, you know, it was not a long time, you know, since Senegal got its independence. So when I grew up, when I was little in Senegal, um, you know, France was, the country was independent, but France was still very present. You know, I remember when I was little, the first time I saw a French person in the public transportation, I asked, I said, "What is he doing here?" Because in my conception, in my you know, vision of things at the time, you know, the French people drove the cars
Yeah.
and lived in the nice buildings, and you know, the local people took the public transportation
Yeah.
and struggled. You know, so um, so after that phase, you know, when I was growing up, I had this you know, realization that, you know, actually colonization was exploitation. It
Yeah.
was, you know, dehumanization. It was, you know, just people coming to your country, occupying it, and stealing your wealth, your culture. You
Yeah.
know, so I was not a big fan of France. I didn't like France because I always looked at it as, you know, the 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 thief, you
Yeah.
know, that took away, you know, from this small country.
Yeah. So there was like this underlying resentment against them.
A
Even.
lot,
Yeah.
a lot of resentment, and that came with, you know, learning about your history,
Mm.
learning about, you know, how much you know, the 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 political structure in our countries were even working better than the political structures in Europe at the
Yeah.
time, you know, and you know, that they came and used their means and occupied the country and built railroads, not because they wanted people to
To
go from A
travel.
to,
Yeah.
yeah,
Mm-hmm.
they wanted to be able to take the wealth from, you know, inner
From the people.
cities
Yeah.
to, you know, the coastal areas, so they can ship them to France. You know, I had no doubt in my, you know, teenage years that, you know, when I look at the Eiffel Tower, people see beauty. I see stolen money, you know, from these African countries that are former colonies, you know. So when people say, you know, France is a country of love, I see, you know, the dehumanization. I see, My grandfather who was in the trenches in
Yeah.
Verdun, in some other places, fighting for a war that he had nothing
Yeah.
to do with.
It wasn't even his to begin with.
It,
Yeah.
it
Yeah.
was not his to begin with. So that's a different perception. But um, you know, later you realize also that France is our friends. We're not letting French people talk about people from African descent as foreigners. We
Right.
fought for the liberation of this country. We're
Yeah.
there, and today we are the Mbappes. We are the Lilian Thurams. We are the Golo Kante. We are these people who are making France the great country that it is today.
That's true.
And you've also earned that right. Like it'd be different if you were just some foreigner coming in and like we
Yeah.
have not earned that right at all, but like
That's true.
I feel like in terms of that, you guys have fought and you guys have stayed and you guys deserve the say of being like, yes, we are French and we are from here and we
This is
deserve
our
that title.
France.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so just kind of swaying a little bit away from that. So we understand you have your doctorate degree. So can you talk a little bit about it and just how it plays a role in your daily life and the way you teach and your teaching style?
Yeah. Studying in the U.S. was a challenge to me.
Really, how so?
So I remember when I started my first class at Marymount Manhattan. After a couple of weeks, like just imagine 2 weeks of sitting in classes and you're just watching tennis. People are talking back and forth,
Yeah.
and I had no clue what they were saying.
Oh,
I
so
Wow.
you didn't know
I did not
English. Oh,
I did not
Wow.
know English.
Uh-huh.
So the choice was, basically either, spend the money on, taking English
Like a
classes.
tutor or
Yeah.
something,
Yeah,
which is
you know,
expensive
which
as
is
a college
expensive.
student. Yeah.
And not
Yeah.
everyone has that choice.
Or just pretend you understood, and sit in class and try to figure it out.
Fake it till you
know.
make it.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So that's what we do. So it was challenging to just understand. But when there's a will,
There's a way.
There's
Yeah.
always a way. So I was able to, learn little by little, and in my classroom today, sometimes I share a classroom with an English teacher, and I see a book, Catch 21. I said, wow, back in the
That's a good
days in Merrimont, Manhattan, I heard a kid said, oh, that's a Catch 21. I said, what are we catching here?
Yeah.
So because I didn't have that background,
Yeah.
they all read the same books in high school. They could speak at that
Right.
level
Yeah.
and understand each other. I
Yeah.
didn't have that.
It was like you were like missing out on a joke. Like there were so
Yeah.
many things going on, but you didn't understand. Yeah.
So to me, I hung on. I decided a couple times to drop and go find a job and just make money. But then
Right.
I stayed and I finished my bachelor. And then I said, look, after the bachelor, what? You're here, this is the
Might
land
as
of
well.
opportunity, right? So I decided to go for a master's degree, in education. And that's how I became a teacher, But being a teacher also, meant, wow, you're teaching, but you're learning a lot
Right.
Yeah.
from the students. Every student who walked into my classroom knew more technology than I did. So my challenge was, how do I stay up to date, with what's going on. And I was fascinated with technology. Think about Senegal never being able to use a computer, and coming here being in a class where a teacher's saying, submit a paper online. I'm not taking it.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm not taking any handwriting, and I'm like, wow, how do you do that?
So different.
Yeah, but but you know that planted the seeds in me, you know, to learn more about technology. So I decided after my master's degree to go for a doctoral degree in technology integration into education because I love education and I want to know what's going on. I want to be able to, you know, talk,
Yeah.
be at the same level as my
Mm.
students or a little ahead of them
Yeah.
when it comes to technology. So that's what made me decide, what pushed me to get a doctoral degree in technology integration into education.
Yeah. Wow. All right, everyone. We'll be right back after the break. All right, so we're back and we're here with Mr. Sar. So if you could change one thing about the American education system, what would it be?
Wow. One thing.
Or two, or three.
If you could just change it as
Change
a whole.
it.
You know, I think the American education system is, you know, like every education system needs a lot of work.
Yeah.
You know, we um, are teaching students, you know, a lot of things that are not in tune, in phase with the realities of their
Yeah,
lives.
I completely agree.
That's
Um,
true.
So, so I, you know, if there's one thing that I think about, you know, when I think about education, I think about, you know, the word real. It has to be real,
Yeah.
you know. So when I was a student, I didn't like the fact that, you know, people talked a lot about theories. You
Mm.
know, people talked a lot about things that have no incidence and
No
my
backbone.
yeah, you know. So it's, I think, you know, as a teacher talking to you as students, I want your experience, the time that you're spending right here, you know, in school, to be valuable, to be something that will help you solve real life situations, you know, if you have to.
Yeah. Wow. That's really good. I also think that a lot of people, especially like a lot of teachers, I mean, they are not really, I mean, I see it. Obviously, I'm not going to say who, but it's the effort that you give is the effort that you get. So if you have teachers that aren't necessarily 100% in check or aren't really giving their students their attention and the respect that students need, it doesn't translate to good education for the students wherever that may be in the world. So I think that, I mean, me being your student, you know, it's a very nice to see a teacher who gives great effort and truly wants to be not just a teacher but an educator. And I don't know, it's
I
refreshing.
agree. It's also like the way you format your classes, it's more discussion based
Yeah.
rather than here's the work, get it done, find a way
Here's
to get
your
it done.
lesson that's
And-
structured, that's been structured
Yeah.
like that for 10 years, and I'm just the next.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think for students, it's more like it's more become of a thing about like I need to get this done to get a good grade rather than I need to retain the information.
And learn something.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and I think, you know, you are right. You know, that's a great point that you're making. I think, you know, when education becomes mechanical,
Yes.
you know,
Mhm.
it's it doesn't serve anyone. It doesn't serve the teacher, and it doesn't serve the students,
Yeah.
nor does it serve the community. You know,
Yeah.
because we are thinking about your time in schools as, you know, this passage where you are going to become um, a citizen of the world. You know, you are going to become, you know, a support for your community. You know, so and that is not what what you see. You know, when you see, for instance, students in the morning sharing pictures of the homework, you
Yeah.
know, and uploading it on Google Classroom. You know, it makes me always, you know, slow down and think, you know, is this really what education is about?
Yeah.
You know, I many times, you know, I have plans, you know, to teach something, and I walk into the classroom and I see that the reality is different. You know, students need to talk about the World Cup, you know, because
Yeah.
this is their reality right now,
Yeah.
you know, and I think, you know, to me, I'm always trying my best to be flexible, to give a human dimension to to education,
Yeah.
you know, because at the end of the day, I don't have robots in front of me.
Yeah.
I have, you know, human beings, and we have to, you know, act like humans, you know, be
Yeah.
flexible and understand each other and listen and hear.
Yeah.
True. All right. So our next question, shifting a little bit. Growing up, who was your role model or someone that you looked up to, and how did they impact you?
So, growing up, um, uh, you know, I had many role models. I had many people that I looked up to. Um, you know, that's the interesting thing about the village that I was mentioning before. You know, it's everyone.
Yeah.
You know, because everyone around me tried their best to act in a way that the maxim of their actions could be, you know, used as a general rule, you know. So, um, so, and you know, when you grow up, you know, right now, for instance, I know that that's a lot of work,
Yeah.
you know. So I look back and I appreciate everyone who was around me when I grew up, because I know now how much of a work it is to model, to be a model, you know,
Yeah.
for
Sure.
your
It
own
really
kids,
is.
for your students, for people around you. It's hard um, to behave sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah. I believe that comes with a lot of guilt as well. Like if you're not allowed to be human when you're a model, because if you make a mistake, then it's like, oh, like I've messed up and now this
Yeah.
this kid is going to think that this is all right when that's not the case. So I think it also comes with a lot of guilt and like self
Yeah.
kind of degradation just
Yeah.
because you always constantly have to be perfect.
Yeah, I feel like there's also this idealism of perfection that humans are just so obsessed with that when they see people, they don't want to necessarily see the flaws. And I feel like when you're surrounded in a community where everyone's trying their best, even if they're flawed, or it it is just a great environment. Like me personally, I grew up in a household where, you know, I had two very hardworking parents, and 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 it wasn't always great, but it was seeing two people who truly wanted to make their life better, and they tried every single day to make me happy. And you know, it's great growing up around people who are not done ever working.
Yeah, and I think that that's the most beautiful thing that one can have. You know, for, you know, the parents, you have to try their best, you know, to to model things for you, but you also understanding that these are people, these are just regular people who are
Yeah,
trying. You know,
they are just people.
mistakes will happen. You know, things will go wrong sometimes, but they tried their best,
Yeah.
you know. So, you know, I think it's, you know, like at my age, you know, I look at my kids and I'm thinking, you know, I hope that they will one day understand that, you know, this person is not perfect,
Yeah.
and what I want them to 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 always remember is that, you know, I tried. I
Yeah.
tried my I try my best every
Yeah.
single day to be here to do things right and to make this world a better place every day. Because, you as a student coming to school every day, you are contributing to making this world a better place.
Yeah.
Us teachers, by coming and trying to convey this knowledge, we are trying to make the world a better place. So
Yeah.
so I think, if everyone does what they can, try their best,
Yeah.
be the best human you can, and the world is going to be a better place.
Yeah. All right. Are we?
I think we can just end off with a quick one. So do you see yourself living here permanently, or in the future, do you see yourself residing in a different place, a different country, or do you think New York is it for you in terms of
I'm
like?
always trying to get
He's
out
always
of
on the
here.
move.
Really?
Yeah.
I'm always trying to
I
get
like knowing you, because like you're a teacher that puts themselves out there, so complex, and I'm just like, what is this guy doing in Austining? Because he could be teaching
That's what
anywhere.
We talk about
We
it
talk
often.
about it,
Yeah.
I'm just like, so wise.
I think, you are Austining residents. Sometimes in Wolof, my original language, we say, what I'm trying to translate it, So, what is hurting your eyes? What's preventing you from seeing?
Yeah.
Your eyes can't see it because it's in your eyes. So your eyes
Right.
can't look at your
Mhm.
eyes.
Yes.
So do you see what I'm saying?
You can't.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. And that's why we're saying, that you live in Austining and you take a lot of things for granted.
Yeah.
I think this is, this district, this community is amazing. I talk to many teachers from other places, and I think that, this is a place where everyone is doing everything they can to make
Yeah.
sure that, the students are having a good experience.
Yeah.
It's not there's always going to be work to do
Oh, that's with
to-
everything.
to,
Yeah.
to improve. But at least people are having the their heart are in a good place,
Yeah.
and they are trying to make things better. Just sitting here with students, having this podcast, having this genuine conversation. I mean, I did not rehearse any questions. I
Yeah.
did not know what this was about. I just trusted that when Nicole and Fatima come and invite me to have a conversation, I trust them,
Yeah.
and I'm sure that you came to me because there's a level of trust there. So
Yeah.
Oh, for
so I think
sure.
that's wonderful. That's not something that we see everywhere we go.
Mhm.
Yeah. Wow.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank you,
so much
Mr.
for coming
Sai.
on.
Thank
This was
you.
a great conversation. It was really nice
Really
getting
was.
to know you just as a person, not even just as an
Yeah.
educator, just
Thank
as a
you.
person.
And like the goal of this podcast conversation is I think sometimes people see teachers as these 2D people that they only come here and they're only here from 8:04 to 2:44, and we're trying to just get to know our teachers
I-
more.
I think it's an amazing project.
Yeah.
I'm really happy that you're doing this, and I can't think about people who can make this work that are better than you two. So
Thank you.
thank you
Thank
for the
you.
invite, and I'm very happy to be here.
Thank you for
All right.
coming.